All right. Hi there. My name is Aubrey Hammond, and for my final presentation for this class, I chose to do a presentation over the Myers-Briggs personality types. Why I chose this subject is I chose this topic because I've always just been kind of interested in different personalities and why people are the way they are and how different personality traits can be like categorized, as well as how characteristics can be perceived by others. So I think it's just a really interesting concept. My goals for this presentation is that I hope to give examples of the many different personality types that the Myers-Briggs offers, as well as some real life applications to show how this personality type test can be used. So through this presentation, you'll learn that it was used for like team building stuff, career success projections, like all that type of stuff. But it relates to intimate relationships because it can be a good indicator on how people like to be talked to or how they handle situations, which obviously can be super helpful when you're dealing with people that you are in relationships with or just friends with or your family. It just can be really helpful to know like how those people work. So it can just be a kind of a good indicator on like how they work by their personality type. Recent views on the subject is that many views today don't really back the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator as like a good way to like really describe somebody and gauge their success in their career positions. But they agree that it is a good way to people sort. So meaning that we can like on different like characteristics, we can like put people in different categories and like that can help be a good way to grasp the general idea of personality. But however, we should probably take it with a grain of salt because it's not clinically proven and it's not scientifically backed. So we have to be careful with that. Okay, so what is the Myers-Briggs personality test? So it's a type indicator test that helps determine personality types that the test taker most identifies with. There are four categories, the large categories that have four subcategories that all have different traits and characteristics. So when you put all these together, they make 16 different unique personality types. However, nobody will fit into one category perfectly. It's just whichever you most identify with. So the four big categories include the analysts, diplomats, explorers, and centennials. This can be broken down into four different subtypes of each one, and this is what you would determine as your personality type of the 16. The results are determined by an arrangement of letters that correlate to introversion versus extroversion. So this is your I and your E, and then sensing versus intuition, which is your S and your N, and then thinking versus feeling, which is your T and your F, and then judgment versus perceiving. So this is your J and P. So to get your personality type, you get a letter from each of those big categories and you put them together. So you get E and FJ, which is what I am. Why should others take interest? So it can be a good way to understand yourself better as well as others, and it can be a beneficial tool to use when working in a team or any scenario where you're working together trying to accomplish something. In terms of relationships, it can be a good way to better understand for your friendships so you can effectively work out issues to build their relationships. And down there, I just hyperlinked the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator test if you'd like to take that. So the Myers-Briggs type indicator elements. So like I said before, you got your introversion and extroversion, your sensing and your intuition, thinking and feeling, judging and perceiving. So, and then I have a little infographic over here that just tells just a little general piece of information about the different types. So the first big category we're going to go over is the analysts. So within the analysts, we have four. We have the architect, the logician, the commander, and the debater. So architects are INTJ, which are imaginative, strategic, rational, and detail-oriented people. The logician, which is INTP, are inventive, flexible thinkers, unconventional, and curious people. The commander, which is ENTJ, are self-confident, energetic, strong-willed, and charismatic. And our last one, we have the debater, which is ENTP, which is they're knowledgeable, quick thinkers, their originality, and they are desensitized, which can be a downfall for them. The next, we have diplomats. For the 4, we have our advocate, our mediator, protagonist, and campaigner. So the first, we have advocate, which is INFJ. They're principled, insightful, passionate, altruistic people. And then you got your mediators, which are INFP, empathetic, generous, open-minded, idealistic. And then protagonist, which is what I am an ENFJ personality type. So I would be perceived as receptive, reliable, charismatic, and often intense in emotions. The campaigner, which is ENFP, they're perceptive, they're festive, they're enthusiastic, and they're usually good-natured people. The third one, we have a vertiso, which is ISTP, they're optimistic, spontaneous, they have good prioritization skills, and they work well under pressure. And adventurer, which is our ISFP, charming, sensitive to others, curious, artistic. Entrepreneur, our ESTPs, they're bold, direct, sociable, and risk prone. Entertainers are ESFPs, they're observant, aesthetic, practical, but they're easily bored. So our last one we have is sentinels, logician, and ISTJ. They're honest, strong-willed, responsible, calm, and practical people. Our defenders are ISFJ, supportive, observant, hardworking, practical skills. Executive are ESTJ, dedicated, they create order, they're organized, and they're loyal people. And the last one we have is our consul, which is ESFJ. They're usually warm and inviting, they have a strong sense of duty, they're selfless, and they are able to connect with others fairly easily. And then I just have it are cited in the bottom because I pulled all the pictures from the 16personalities.com, which is the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator test, which I also linked to the quiz in a couple slides ago. So what did you learn? I learned what experts say about this topic. They say that while it is a good way to get a general idea of what your characteristics may be, you should not believe these things to be completely true because of confirmation bias, which is just another phrase for like, if you take the quiz and you want a certain outcome, you can skew your results by picking the questions you think will lead to a certain outcome. Some theories about this topic. There are no really established theories about this topic, only that it can be a useful tool to predict career success and the workability of people in groups. And these are just my annotated bibliography and sites. And then in conclusion, I think this is a really important thing to think about when we're putting people together, just to make sure that everybody can understand a little bit about each other and just the way we work. My concluding statement is just like I said, while it's not a good way to just nail people on who they are and how they act, it can be a good way to kind of get a general idea, but it's super important that we take it with a grain of salt and see it for the whole picture and not just what our 16 personalities are, because there can't really be 16 personalities for everybody. Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to be unique, but this is just a good way to get the general idea of some big character traits about people. So, yeah.